They're the kings of the jungle, well, the Ethereum jungle. They've got a deflationary utility, they've got a mutual fund, and their pricing looks very, very strong. Let's jump in and check out Roaring Leaders. First up, I want to say if you could hit up the like button, it really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Also, down the bottom, there are chapters, so you can fast forward to the sections that you want to help you navigate the video easier. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial planner. Please do your own research before jumping into the NFT space. Let's jump in and have a look at their website. So to be honest with you, when I first saw Roaring Leaders, I thought it was a knockoff of Lazy Lions. All I did was I scrolled down to here, I had a look at the images, and then I just bounced. I didn't take enough time to actually have a look at the project, who was behind it or anything. And then what happened, I was on Opensea, I saw the price floor, I then jumped into Nansen and had a look at the price charts. Now we'll revisit these later, but I then looked at it and thought, hey, maybe this is actually worth having a look at, jumped in and have a look, and that's why I'm making this video. So let's get into it. So Roaring Leaders, it is a 10,000 profile picture project, essentially, but they've got a deflationary aspect and a mutual fund aspect. Now, I'm excited about the deflationary aspect. So when it comes to the roadmap, they've knocked off most of the roadmap. The only one that they're kind of waiting on is the Elixir Deflationary mechanics, and we'll touch on this right now. So what is the Elixir? Basically, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking one of your Roaring Leaders, burning them, you're then given an Elixir. You can then give this to your other Roaring Leader, or you could sell it if you want, to then make another leader that has even more rare traits. So the idea is that essentially you could take this line here, give it to him, and then he's going to end up getting these rare traits around him. But the good part about this is the fact that you're going to be taking that 10,000, you're going to have to burn one to then get the Elixir, so you're going to reduce this supply. So I think this is a little bit of fun because I do like the idea of deflationary NFTs. The latest fund is a mutual fund where 3% of secondary sales go towards the latest fund. The funds can be used to buy other blue chipped NFTs. But the good thing about this mutual fund is that the team have actually kickstarted this by putting in 4 blue chip assets with a Bored Ape, a Mutant Ape, a Chrome Squeal, and a Cool Cat. And the fund is worth about 500,000 at this current point in time. So it's nice to see that the team have actually sort of put their money where their mouth is and actually kind of ponied up to kind of kick off the mutual fund, which gives it a little bit more weight moving forward. Now, when we get down to the team, this is where I really kind of get a little bit excited. In what you've got here is you've got the team here. Now, we can see the lead dev here, Roaring Leaders, Tools of Rock, Dizzy Dragons. So you can see that he is doing a lot of work. Now, this is nice to see because it means that if you want to do your due diligence and do your research, you can have a look at these projects, see what these projects are doing, and he's putting his money where his mouth is, essentially, which is nice to see. When we have a look at the artist has got his Instagram here. And what we can see here is that the artist is an established artist. We've got his post about Roaring Leaders, which is good to see, but we've got some of his other stuff. We can see some of his work and videos here of his 3D models. Now, the reason that I like this is that the artist just likes to create. He really likes to make interesting, awesome things. Now, when you've got an artist that puts their name behind it, even if they're not a huge established artist, but they're really passionate about it, that shows through in the art. And then we also have the marketing lead here. Now, for a project, it's not unusual for the team to have their Twitter accounts, but it's nice that they're there because it means that you can then reach out to the marketing lead, you can reach out to the dev, you can reach out to the artist and kind of engage with them and communicate them outside of the Roaring Leaders aspect. It also means you can dive into what they're doing and kind of have a look. When we jump over onto the Roaring Leaders Twitter, we can see here that they've got 8,000 followers. And as you can see, they're not just retweeting, they're actually putting up content as well. And this is the Bored Ape that's in the mutual fund. Now, heading on over to their Discord, we can see here that they've got 30,000 members. Now, here's when we get to the Elixir. Elixirs can be attained by burning one of your Roaring Leaders NFT, and they're going to be building that on their website. It's coming soon. Essentially, what happens is you take your leader, you then burn that leader, and then you're given one of 3 elixirs. You can end up getting a rare, a super rare, and a 1 of 1. Now, they've broken down all of the rare, super rare traits, and they've given you an idea of what can actually happen. Now, look, this information is very dense and very heavy, so check out their Discord for the information. It's well thought out. It's not just a gimmick that they're kind of throwing to the wind. Now, if we head over onto their Opensea, what we can see here is we can get a snapshot of the project. 10,000 items, the 2,800 owners, and then we've got a price floor of 1.4. Now, if we head down to the buy now, we can see here that it could very fast get up to the 0.15 within sort of 10 sales or so, which is nice to see. And then from that, it looks like it plateaus there. So to get it to move up to the 1.6, it's going to need quite a lot of volume, but to get up to the 1.5, it can move quite fast. Now heading on over to Nansen to get a deep dive into the stats. Deployed 27 days ago, we can see here that Roaring Leaders was sitting quite flat. Then we had the crazy big volume of the public sale, and then after that, it has stayed quite high. Having a look at the average price, which is denominated by the green, that kind of runs up, and then it sits quite flat. And then in terms of the minimum price, it's quite frothy, but then it's starting to flatten out, which shows some price stability. Now this is from the 4th of October until the 12th, and it's sitting very, very flat, which shows that it looks like we've hit a very stable price floor. Now scrolling down to the individual transactions, what we can see here is that the white line is the average price. And what I like about this chart is that it's very, very flat. There are a few little sort of pips down, but it's not in a downtrend. Now look, everyone wants the value of their NFTs to go up. Now, a price chart that looks like this, that has a very, very flat floor, is strong. It's very bullish because we all know those projects kind of start off strong and then dip out and disappear. This has been out for almost a month and the price floor is sitting very, very flat. Now scrolling down to the top balances, what we can see here is the top one, it says it's got 341, but I believe that this is the marketing wallet. We've then got the next one at 98, 89, 81, and then we kind of drop down here. Now the reason that I believe that this is a marketing wallet is if we actually have a look at the profile, we can just see that it is all based on Roaring Leader stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to the team, and if it is the marketing wallet, I'll kind of put a graphic on screen letting you know here. So ignoring the top one, when we have a look at the distribution here, there are a lot of big bag holders, but that isn't surprising seeing that there's 2,800 owners of a 10,000 a piece project. When we jump in and have a look at the unique balances, what we can see here is that 95% of the NFTs have been held between 7 and 30 days. So it shows that there are some holders in this space. They're not trying to kind of flip it real quick. And I believe that they're going to be waiting to see what happens with the deflationary mechanism of this project. In terms of the unique addresses, it's come up and it looks like it's in a slight uptrend. Now look, it would be nice to get this to around that 50% mark, but when we incorporate the deflationary mechanism, this could drop quite fast and kind of bring that percentage up by not actually adding any new people into the mix. Now the percentage of people only holding one NFT, it kind of drops down. Now this makes sense because to actually get the most out of this project, you essentially want to be buying two. So the fact that there's 45% of people that are only holding one kind of shows you where it is. And then when it comes down to the very, very fun one, we get the profit leaderboard. Now what we can see here is that the top profit 4.78. Then we get 4, then we get down to 3s, 2s, and then the 1s. Now this is a very peculiar profit leaderboard because you would imagine for a project that has been out for so long that the profits would be kind of 10, 20, 30. Because it's so low, I'm taking into account that a lot of people, these people that have bought and holding, they're not selling, they're waiting for something. When we come down to the top 5 buying addresses, what we can see here is that the purchases are kind of sitting around this 0.1 mark up until around the 0.3 mark. And then scrolling down to the recent transactions, what we can see here is we can see that over the past hour, there's been 10 purchases. Over the last 2 hours, 20. Over the last 3 hours, 30. So it's a little bit less than 10 sales an hour, which means that the price floor could move quite fast over a 24-hour period if the holders aren't actually listing them and kind of sort of delist some of their Roaring Leaders. So what do I think of Roaring Leaders? When I look at Roaring Leaders from an objective view and just look at the charts and stats, I like the project. I'm a big fan of deflationary mechanisms and aspects when it comes to NFTs. And the mutual fund aspect, I believe, is like a cherry on the top. Now, the reason that I like this project, even though some of the stats from the outside don't look so good, because I usually like to buy projects that have closer to a 50% ownership. Now, if all of these people burnt one of their Roaring Leaders to then upgrade them, we would then end up with almost a 50% ownership. So this is where I kind of start to see the excitement. I believe people have bought multiple so they can engage in this deflationary aspect and use the Elixir. Now, I do like this and it is fun because there are going to be people that will burn them and then sell the elixirs, and then people will then start to buy and trade them. So we start to end up with another aspect and another layer when it comes to this NFT project. So should you buy into Roaring Leaders? If you like the idea of the deflationary aspect and you look at this chart and you can kind of see some potential in it, then I think this is well worth it. This last day is currently open and we need to see it close to see where it goes, but we can see that the price movement is strong. The floor is strong. So if you've got the risk tolerances to jump into a project and buy 2 or 3 of these and it's not going to hurt your bag, I feel like this is a really good buy. So will I be buying into Roaring Leaders? Yes, I will. I will be buying 2 or 3. I will then burn one, get the elixir, and then combine them together. I'm a big fan of deflationary aspects when it comes to NFTs, and this kind of plays into that. The mutual fund, it's nice, it's a cherry on top, but that isn't the main part that's pulling me into this. Also, when I do look at the price charts, this just looks strong, and I almost feel like I've missed the boat. I don't feel like I'm in that FOMO stage yet, but I feel like if I held off on this for a few more days, then I might get into that. Because when you look at this average price, it just keeps moving. If you want to talk about NFTs or you've got an idea for a future video, there's a link in my Discord below. I find it a little bit easier to chat than the YouTube comments mechanism. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.